Here's something most fiction writers get wrong. You want your character to shatter in the third act, so you build toward it. A betrayal, a death, a catastrophic loss. You expect that big event to do all the work. The character breaks. The reader should feel it. But the reader doesn't feel it. Something's off, and they can't name it. The breakdown feels imposed, unearned, like watching someone collapse who had no reason to be standing in the first place. Here's the thing. The mistake wasn't in the climactic event. The mistake happened 100 pages earlier. The writer reached for the big moment and skipped everything that should have preceded it. They skipped the small things. And small early events do more work than large ones. That's not a paradox. It's how breaking actually happens. In people and in fiction. Think about a cracked ceramic bowl. In metallurgy, cracks don't appear randomly. A crack starts at the weakest point in the existing material. A flaw, a seam, an old stress point invisible on the surface. And cracks don't spread all at once. They advance in stages, driven by repeated stress. Each cycle pushes the fracture a little deeper, until one ordinary load, no larger than any before, finishes what all the previous loads began. That's the physics of how things break. It's also how people break. So how do you build a character whose fracture feels inevitable? It starts with a baseline. Before your story applies any pressure, you need to know your character's hidden structure. Not the surface personality, not the charm or the confident exterior. You need the hidden flaws, the unresolved wounds they carry before page 1. The belief they've built their life around that happens to be wrong. The thing they've never been tested on that might fail when tested. Because the crack doesn't start randomly. It starts at the weakest point. A writer who doesn't know that point cannot credibly construct where the character will break. Next come the small events. This is where the reader's experience is actually being built. When a reader sees a character respond to minor stress, they file it, subconsciously. They're building an internal model of who this person is under pressure. That model updates with every response. It accumulates, and when the big moment arrives, the reader consults that model. If the response feels like the only thing this person could do, it lands as inevitable. If the writer skipped the small events, the reader has nothing to consult. The breakdown arrives without history. And a breakdown without history isn't a story moment. It's just a plot event. Those small incidents can be external, a confrontation, a demand, a loss. Or internal, a quiet doubt, a belief, quietly adjusted. Both open cracks, both reveal character. Then comes cyclic stress, the engineering term for what happens between crack initiation and final fracture. Repeated loads, each one advancing the damage a little further. The straw that broke the camel's back is precise engineering. That last straw wasn't exceptional. It was ordinary. The back was already compromised by every straw before it. In fiction, cyclic stress is your middle, a progression of smaller incidents, each one a choice, each one a response, the reader files. If your climax isn't landing, look at your middle. Ask whether each cycle contacted the character's specific flaw. Stress on sound material doesn't advance a fracture. It has to find the weakness. Now, when the crack finally propagates, there are two modes of failure. Brittle failure is sudden. The material looks intact, and then shatters. No visible warning, no gradual yielding. The horror is in the suddenness. Ductile failure is progressive. The material yields visibly before fracture. The character bends under load. That bending changes them. The reader watches someone bend and feels the wrongness in each degree of change. Neither is better. They're different shapes of story. What matters is choosing deliberately, and then building the middle to support that choice. And here's something else worth knowing. Not every crack propagates to fracture. In material science, a crack can be arrested, stopped when the stress is redistributed. Fiction has this too. A character on the edge of fracture, the reader holding their breath, dreading the break. And then something in the character's deepest structure reasserts itself. Not a rescue from outside, not a plot intervention. Their core values, the load-bearing relationships, redistribute the stress. The crack arrests. That release is one of fiction's most powerful effects. But it can only be earned by the work done in every cycle before. One last thing. Sometimes a character will refuse what your outline demands. You place them at the breaking point, and the material resists. The instinct is to override it, force the break, serve the plot. Resist that instinct. A character refusing to break isn't a plotting problem. It's everything you built into their baseline asserting itself as structurally true. The material is telling you something more precise than the outline knew. The writer who follows where the material leads, rather than where the plan pointed, is the writer whose characters feel real, not constructed, discovered. So, know the material before you load it. Apply the stress where the flaw lives. Let the crack advance in stages. Choose the failure mode deliberately. And when the structure holds against all expectation, trust that too.